What's going on, Port fans? Welcome back to another video on the channel, and today we're going to be doing my Port Adelaide Best 22 for round 1 against Brisbane, which is not too far away. It's definitely getting closer to another 24 weeks of blood, sweat, tears, depression, anxiety, excitement, and everything that comes with being a Port Adelaide supporter and a footy supporter in general. So without further ado, let's get straight into it and talk my best 22 for round 1. Now, looking at all the form and everything from pre-season guides to what we played in the two pracky games and the internal, didn't give us a lot, let's be honest. But the best 22 I've gone with is kind of safe, but also at the same time, very much based on who we're playing. We're playing Brisbane, who play a very tall forward line. They're very, very heavy, so and their midfield's elite. So I think we've got to come up with a plan to nullify that. And this is what I'm going to go with. So we're going to start with the back line. To begin, it's Tom Jonas in the back pocket. It's Trent McKenzie at fullback and Darcy BYRNE-JONES in the back pocket. The reason I picked Trent McKenzie is what we went with pretty much majority of the preseason was a Jonas and ALIIR kind of setup. That's not very tall. And with how Brisbane play, they've got Gunston, they've got Danaher, and they've got Hipwood. Very tall, very big-bodied, and very smart. And obviously with Cameron as well, Charlie Cameron in the pocket, you need someone to stand on him, and I think Darcy BYRNE-JONES can do the job. And he's done it pretty well previously, I think, in my opinion, against him. And Ryan Burton can play that role as well. But McKenzie comes in over Cleary because I think Cleary has had a very, very bad experience playing Brisbane. I do rate Tom Cleary, but I think overall he doesn't really have that right matchup with either Danaher or with Hipwood, and Hipwood has kicked bags of goals against him in previous times. So they're the back three. Complementing them on the half-back line, Jace Burgoyne, ALIIR, and Ryan Burton. Burgoyne's been sensational, has to play round 1. Whether or not he starts on the field or on the bench, doesn't really matter. He's playing in that best 22. Obviously, we've got 23 with the sub, and I'll get to that in a second. But Burgoyne starts for me across the half-back line. His smartness and his speed is going to be absolutely crucial to us rebounding against a pretty damn good Brisbane forward line. ALIIR is obviously going to take one of the biggest, and if not, he's going to take Danaher. I think he's got a very good body, very good smartness about him to match up correctly there. So I think that will be the case. And then Ryan Burton's a given. He'll take the kickouts and do what he normally does, pushing up forward and really creating some opportunities. And he's really, really good at being that smart, small, medium, tall defender, a down back, and he's been fantastic for us over the last 12 months or so, especially. We get to the centre line. I think it's the most obvious centre line that we can have. I'm going to start with Miles Bergman on the wings, been owning it in the preseason and deserves his opportunity on the wing. Travis BOAK starts in the centre, and Xavier DUURSMA. I think that's the three that start in the middle and on the wings. DUURSMA's been great, as Bergman has been as well. I think they really complement each other really well on the wings, and that's going to be a great little duo to watch out for this year. And Travis BOAK, regardless of the amount of times he plays in the midfield this year in terms of percentage and time, he starts the game in the middle. Josh Carr, Ken Hinkley, take note. I don't care if you play him 50% in the midfield, 50% at half forward, and let him roam about, do his thing. He starts every quarter and every centre bounce of each quarter and that in the middle. BOAK is a key to having in the midfield when we start things off. And it's crucial that we get a fast start against the Lions as well. BOAK's got to stay in there. I will do the rucks as well. So the ruck and the Rovers. LYCETT will start as the main ruckman. I'm picking him for round 1, regardless of the talk that he's not going to be the 100% main number 1 ruck anymore. I do think that obviously he deserves to start. He's been putting through the hard yards, and I really feel like regardless of his performance against Sean Darcy, he's very good against West Coast. I think his presence and his body in the ruck and his smartness is going to be a lot more crucial against Oscar McInerney than, say, a Teakle or starting a Charlie Dixon in the middle there. Alongside him, he'll have Ollie Wines and Connor ROZEE. So there's your 3 starting midfielders, BOAK, ROZEE, Wines. It's the best of the best. Kick it off the round 1 correctly. You're not playing anything stupid, you're not playing silly games. You're putting in your best to start the game off. And they're the 3 best midfielders that we can have in there at the moment. Do you start Horne-Francis in the middle? There is a case for that, and starting BOAK at half forward. It could be a case that they go by. I wouldn't say it's out of the question. I did like Horne-Francis's energy around the stoppages, but I just think the way that Fremantle, particularly in the practice game, exposed our midfield so easily coming out of the centre square. Just raised a little bit of concern for me. So I think having your best in there is what you need to do. Going to the half forward line, this is where it gets real talented. It's going to be Butters, it's going to be Dixon, and it's going to be Sam Powell-Pepper. Those three across half forward. Butters is going to rotate through the midfield. Charlie Dixon's going to probably rotate in the ruck. Sam Powell-Pepper is going to do his thing and bash, crash packs, be around those stoppages, and really implement some great pressure up forward. He's going to kick many goals this year if he plays the way he did in the preseason. Best on ground in those 2 games by a mile. Dixon's going to have a great impact, I think, this year. Starting the year off is so crucial for Charlie. He can build his way into a great season, have a full year, looks fit, and he definitely can have. People have been slating him because there's been stories about him having a career best year. If he gets 22 games in, we're getting a 2020-esque Charlie Dixon. Like 2021, we got the same thing. He was very good at what he did. So, and he's an all-Australian. Like that's so crucial, and I think Charlie deserves the opportunity to go around playing in the ruck as well. It's going to be great, and a great little barometer in there too. Not so little, to be honest. And Zach Butters, as I said, he'll rotate through the midfield and hopefully having a good start to the year. Full forward, Horacio Fantasia, Todd Marshall, and Junior Rioli. 2 very crafty small forwards. At the bottom of Todd Marshall, who is looking fit and firing, ready to go for a big year. His pre-season games didn't say that exactly, but I still think he has a way to go about it and have a big impact. And I think, we did play a little bit weird in terms of how we went forward. And by weird, I mean not the way we did with Todd Marshall and Jeremy Finlayson throughout that middle part of the year where they were kicking 4 or 5 goals a game. And it was very impressive to watch. I just think we come back to that, we go to the basics and really just implement the way we need to. And those 2 alongside Toddy Marshall are just going to kick bags of goals if they stay fit and they're underneath the packs, because I think they're smart about it and they know exactly what they can do. So we move to the bench, and look, this is where it starts to get choppy and changey in terms of who's going to play and who's not. And you'll notice a couple of players that aren't mentioned here, and I'll mention them at the end. So on the bench, I have Kane Farrell. Will rotate through the half back line, and definitely he's going to have a good impact with, maybe rotates with Burgoyne and could play on a small forward as well, depending on the situation. Dan Houston is the same. He rotates. He'll probably get a bit more midfield time as well. And I think that's great. I think his delivery inside 50 is very good and knows how to do his business. And we've seen what he can do. He's just got to probably take it up a notch again this year. Hasn't been too much. I don't think he's been cited too much in the pre-season. And he's very good. So I think that's probably one to watch from the bench. Jason Horne-Francis starts there as well. And as I said again, he'll be the half-forward rotation with BOAK and probably rotate into the midfield 50-50 early on into the season while he still finds his feet a bit. And BYRNE-JONES is the other one that starts on the bench. Another one that will rotate through different positions at different times. The utility of the team. You might notice that the sub hasn't been picked yet. You might notice a particular name that's missing. And he'll be the sub. Mitch Georgiadis. Now, this is my personal opinion. Out of contract at the end of the year. He's looking to have a big impact on the AFL scene. Has done it in glimpses. The Mark of the Year winner of 2022. Looked very good in 2020 when he debuted. 2021 was also very impressive. 2022 fell off a bit. Goal kicking was a bit of a worry. Now he's coming into a year where he was slated as a bit of a trade bait. People wanted him, didn't want to leave Port, was unhappy at certain stages. Has not been impressive one bit across the pre-season. Has not been able to connect in a forward line. He's just... I don't know what it is about Mitch Georgiadis, but he's not in my round 1 team. Now, that does put a lot of pressure on the side of Dixon and Marshall as the 2 big keys. And obviously Lysett will have to play a bit deeper, and that will not allow us to be as tall. But I'd rather go small than have Georgiadis in the kind of form that he's in. Now, I'm going to get probably some hate, and I really do want him to be performing well because he's going to be a great talent. He's just not in my 23. He's in my 23. He's not in my 22. He's not starting. And that will probably change again over the course of the early rounds. But I don't pick him. I do like the benefits of having Fantasia, Rioli, Sam Powell-Pepper in that forward line. You know, Butters rotating through the midfield. DIXON and Marshall, your big main keys. You got LYCETT in the ruck. It just makes hell of a difference. LYCETT can play forward. He can rest up there. Put him deep. Have the crumbers around him. Bring it to ground. Just a different look in our forward line instead of doing the same thing over and over. That's just the basis of my decision. That in the form of the drop marks, the missed kicks, and it's just not helping. So that's why I don't have him playing on the 22, but he's definitely a sub, so he'll still be there. Okay, so the honourable mention / the emergencies to be on the verge of a selection. Willem Drew. Now, another one that misses out purely on the basis of I think we need a bit more ball in hand and not as much tackling. The pressure's unreal, and I think he can have a great impact. But with Horne-Francis coming in, a bit more pace around the footy does help, and I think with so many midfield swaps, I don't think Drew plays. And that's just my personal opinion. So he'll just be on the emergency list. Jed McEntee definitely looked very good in the preseason games, and he's going to get some games this year, no doubt about it. Bryn Teagle on the verge probably if LYCETT goes down or is not in the good touch, takes that number 1 ruck spot. Francis Evans very much impressive in that last quarter against Fremantle and definitely deserves to be there around the mark. I think he's going to be great. The old Frank the Tank. Tom Cleary, as I mentioned before, not getting a gig because of certain reasons to do with the actual team we're playing and also just pre-season form in general. But he definitely will feature a lot this year. And Jezza Finlayson is lucky last. I didn't name him because of the unlikeliness that he doesn't play because of his injury. And I would prefer him to just take his time coming back in. He's been through a lot over the preseason, and he's definitely going to be an asset and definitely is someone that plays in our forward line, as in best 22. But he just, with the ankle and things that are going off the field, easing your way back into this season is going to be so much more crucial for him. I look forward to when he does come back, and I do wish him and his family all the best because they are inspirational, and I really look forward to seeing what he can produce this year. But I just don't think he gets selected, not because of form or anything like that, but purely just injury. I don't think he'll quite be ready. So I've named him there because I did want to mention him, but I don't think he plays because I don't think he'll be available. So Port fans, that is my team for round 1, 2023. My best 22 plus the sub. It's going to be a massive game against the Brisbane Lions. I do think we have what it takes to win this one. Whether or not we can beat what are the premiership favourites probably at the moment is yet to be seen. But we are the team to have an absolutely shite pre-season, come out and absolutely obliterate a round 1 win. So very much praying that happens. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you think about my team and what will your team be for round 1. The Glass Table episode 2 will be coming out on Monday, so make sure you're checking that one out and make sure you subscribe to the channel for plenty more Port Adelaide content to come your way. We're launching this week. It's round 1. Let's get ready to go. My name's Anthony, and as always, come Pet.